All right.
Oh,
Hello. Warning, Tim is in rare form today.
mhm.
Buckle your seatbelts.
Okay, buckle your seatbelts. Here we go. I better not talk like this anymore. Okay. List. This is different. This list was different. I went in with the intention of not targeting. Typically, my lists have been when I go to the council and I picture you,
Mhm.
me, and then whoever we're doing the video with.
Right.
This was the videos we've done where it's just been us. It was when someone canceled or
Right.
things change or whatever. Which
Yeah, most of them.
no, I've never actually put a list together where I basically said to the council, "Give me a list
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
with for everybody,
Mm,
for
yeah.
everything out there," and it blew me away. It
Mhm.
was powerful. It took a lot more effort to actually kind of wade through it because there was so much more,
Mm,
and it 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 was heavier, not heavier, like it was just
right.
thicker, and there was more to go through and more to understand and more options. You know,
Yeah.
imagine if you've got five choices, or like our political system, you got two, um, and then all of a sudden you have half a billion options.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's kind of like
Mhm.
that. So the first item is 5D waves like ocean waves upon the 3D sand.
Okay.
So if you imagine a beach, you're at the beach. 3D is the land, it's the
Mhm.
sand, it's where you're sitting on the beach, and that's the 3D. And the 5D are the waves coming in.
Mhm.
Sometimes they come in and they disrupt you, and you need to move your chair and whatnot. But sometimes you want your feet in the water, so you put your beach chair kind of
Mhm.
in the water just a little bit so that the waves will run up. It's kind of like that's the stage we're at right
Mhm.
now with these 5D waves. They come in and then they recede.
Mhm.
Then they come in, then they recede. And sometimes they come and touch your toes, but sometimes you get caught off guard and it gets your towel wet, and you're in.
Yeah.
And so that's what's going on. But we
Mm.
all none of I mean, it's hard for us to leave the beach. We just love the beach so much. And
Mhm.
so even though that water can disrupt you and piss you off for a little bit, you still stay there
Mhm. Yeah.
because there's something that draws you there. And that's the perception I had with these waves, how the action they had was
Mhm.
very reminiscent of uh, the waves hitting a beach.
Mm.
And sometimes it was rough, and
Mhm.
sometimes it was smooth. The waves would lap up on the beach,
Mhm.
but other times you get these big crashing waves, and you try to go out in the water, and it would just knock you around.
Yeah.
So
You could take that metaphor long distance. I mean, when I think about waves will carve out a beach or waves will smooth the beach, and yeah,
yeah,
there's so many different depending on your positioning to that, and yeah, it's really good.
yeah. So that has a lot of energy. There's a lot of energy. In
Mm.
fact, there's been people that have talked about employing technology to capture the energy of waves, and you can power up a whole city.
Mhm.
Think about all that action,
Mhm.
and it's constant. It never
Yeah.
goes away.
Mm-mm.
Even when it's small waves, it's still moving a huge quantity of water. If you could bottle that somehow, you
Yeah.
can produce a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So, the next one is swap work slash free time ratio.
Ah.
This is a transition period. This is a
Mhm.
transition stepping stone. We'll go from like our 5 6 day week, um, to a 5 days free time, two days of work.
Mhm.
And this
Mhm.
isn't because we have to. This is because this is what people are going to gravitate to. Not everyone will.
Mhm.
There's more, more and more outliers who are doing it their own way. They work when they want to.
Mhm.
But for, let's just say, the the status quo people, the ones that are currently working 5 day weeks right now, where
Mhm.
they work 5 days and they have two days off,
Mhm.
and then occasionally vacation and whatnot. Those people will be able to transition to that. They will be more likely to accept, okay, we'll swap the two.
Mhm.
I can accept that. They couldn't just go to all free time and you don't really have
Mhm.
to work. So I saw
Mm.
a 2 day work week
Yeah.
and 5 days free.
That kind of reminds me of, we've talked a lot about communities and the way communities will change, but that Ubuntu community approach where if the community is supporting each other, you really only need to work so many hours a week.
If
It's not
yeah,
very much. It's just a small amount, and it's usually what you enjoy doing. So,
right.
yeah.
We don't, obviously we haven't had communities set up to work for us. They've
Mm-mm.
worked for someone else,
Hmm.
and they suckered us into it somehow, some way,
Yeah.
to work the way they wanted us to, that we would accept.
Hmm.
Um, but with those restrictions and um, those directives being pushed away and broken and
Hmm.
crumbling away, um, now we're working on transitioning to more along the lines of what the majority of us will accept.
Hmm.
I say us. I
Hmm.
mean, we're all one, but
Hmm.
there's some of us will never go back to work. I mean,
Right.
work.
Like, yeah.
They will they will assist people
Hmm.
in particular types of what you might consider work,
Hmm.
and they'll do it regularly. But they won't. They're not going to work a schedule.
Hmm.
Think about those people. There's a lot more people who are migrating or have migrated away from any kind of work schedule.
Yeah, well, think about it. I mean, we're all, if we are going to this following the flow and the energies, you're not going to switch it on at 8 and off at 5 or on at 9. And, you can't, you don't do that. It's not natural. It would just flow in. And I know for me, those aren't necessarily my most productive hours. So I think that for those people that are going to continue to do some work, it's not going to be that stringent structure that we've been, following. Yeah,
Right.
because it's
But
not
there's
natural.
still people who go to work right now.
Mm-hmm.
You do, like when
Mhm,
your
mhm,
classes are in and you have to work a schedule.
mhm,
And what I'm saying is that schedule is going to be brought down by the people. The
mhm.
people are going to
Yeah,
bring it down saying, this doesn't work for me
right.
anymore. I'm not doing that. Now, it's already
Mhm,
happening with the outliers.
mhm,
Let's say the early adopters have
mhm,
already come and said, I'll be at whatever class or whatever
mhm,
meetings that I have to attend, whether it's virtually or in person, if I can be there or whatnot.
mhm,
But the rest of the time, I'm going to work my hours.
mhm,
And as long as I get the work done, that's all that matters.
mhm.
I signed up for this work. That's what I'm going to deliver.
Yep.
And it doesn't, being seen in the office is not going to be a priority anymore.
Mm,
In fact, it isn't right now,
right.
but there are still people abiding by it because they haven't transitioned yet. They haven't said, "Well, what's next? What's,"
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
more people will start feeding energy into that to figure out the next system. And I'm saying it's going to look, at least what I saw, what I
Mhm,
felt,
mhm.
was the 2 day work week. That doesn't mean there's only 2 days of work per week. So what we have right now, Monday through Friday's work, and we're going to go to Monday, Tuesday, and everything else is Monday, Tuesday work and everything. What I'm saying is people are going to work 2 days. So some people might work Monday,
Mhm.
Tuesday.
Right.
Some people might work Monday and Thursday.
Mhm,
Other people might work Tuesday and Friday.
mhm,
So I'm seeing, and then that will cause the next shift, which will be bringing down the whole. We're only up, um, doing any kind of business or whatever. Certain things are only open um, Monday through Friday or Saturday,
Hmm.
you know, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's that's being pushed out. We're going to
Hmm.
be a 24-hour society.
Hmm.
You sleep when you want. You
Hmm.
sleep when you need to. You
Hmm.
don't sleep according to a schedule.
Hmm.
You
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, much
all
more
that's going to
natural.
fall all that's going to fall away
Hmm.
when people can accept it.
Yep.
There are already people doing it. I'm doing it. I
Hmm.
don't. I mean, I'm still sleeping at night.
Kinda.
Kind of like I went to bed at what, almost 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't consider
I,
that like
I
most
don't.
people.
I sleep when I need to. I
Yeah.
don't sleep and say, okay, well, I need to go to bed at this time because I need to wake up at this time in the
Mm.
morning. I've broken through that stigma of waking up in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Not that I do it that often, but I mean, if I do it, I check myself to see, do I feel guilty? Do I
Mhm.
whatever? And I've worked through that.
Mhm.
So plus, I don't really watch the clock as much as nowhere near as much as I used to. If I do, it's I'm looking for synchronicities.
Mm, yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
so that's a good thing. The next one is hang glide above your situation to see where you're stuck.
Mm.
It's hard to see where you're stuck when you're living it, when you're
Mhm.
in it. It's much easier if you can find a symbolic way of saying, okay, I can jump on board with that.
Mhm.
That's why I said hang glide. Yours may be surf. It may
Mhm.
be something that'll get you outside your body, outside
Mhm.
your current, refined existence, where you're observer. You
Mhm.
can observe yourself without emotion
Mhm.
and actually say, if I was looking at a dear friend of mine and I saw them living my life,
Mhm.
could I offer them a heartfelt critique
Mhm.
to give them some assistance in things that they couldn't see because they're too close to it? Can you do that for yourself?
Mhm.
That's going to allow you to start seeing what you really need and versus the things you want. Um, because all the things we think we need, we don't, we don't
Mhm.
need. You don't really need very much.
No.
But the system has convinced you that you need, you know, this, this size house, this
Mhm.
kind of job in order to maintain this front, about who you are, the
Mhm.
story that you want to tell the world about who you are. That's all being broken down. So now you're going to have to stand on your own 2 feet, feet,
Down 2 feet.
2 feet, and basically say, "This is who I am,"
Yeah.
because people are seeing through the fronts.
Yeah.
The facades are crumbling, and because that is a good sign that our um, telepathic abilities are coming online.
Mhm.
So people, some people are getting in front of this. They're being compelled to find who they really are, so
Mhm.
that they can um, get that message out um, before they feel pressured
Mhm.
to do it,
Mhm.
because, oh wow, I can't get away with that anymore. Now eventually, once you get there and you're doing all this, you won't feel the pressure. But if you're still stuck in 3D 4D, and you're that those energy, you will feel pressured if you don't do it under your own power. And
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
so I said hang glide, but like I said, it can be anything.
And surfing just gets you up above so you
Yeah,
can.
just something outside your
Mhm.
your your normal schedule, your normal thinking, your normal feeling. And
Well, and you could feel that you were talking about the not needing everything we think we need. I mean, there's so much out there. People doing minimalist approach and tiny homes, and I mean, you just see the push and the way people are already picking up on the energy, and it's manifesting in those ways of saying, I don't want all of this. This doesn't make me happy, and it links back to the discussion about what is it, the energy that's making you feel, what kind of energy and what kind of experience do you want? And it's not the things around you. Most of the times, those things prevent you from that. What is it?
We have a guest.
We have a guest.
Okay. The next one is stop the race so you can embrace the grace.
Yes. The stillness and the sitting.
Race. Think about it. You wake up and a lot of people, there's a race. You don't even know who started the race, but you're under the gun. You know, you're under the gun. You've got to get this done by that time, and you got to get this in, and you need these people here, and that you got to pick up the kids, and you got to make sure it's a race, and we put it on ourselves, or the system. We allowed the system to put it on us, but now we can start dismantling it. You have many more options than you know. Use your creativity to find things that work, even with kids and other obstructions or loving obstructions. Sorry.
You can still find stillness in it.
But you find if it's priority for you, but the race thing is going to make you feel like you're going crazy the more you hold on to it. So
you actually lose yourself. That's where we go through our day and we don't even really know what, we were not present in the moment.
Right.
That's those race days.
That's the big thing, is that race is what kept you doing the normal things and not really delving into your moment creativity and being able to see you for what you are and start to go, why am I doing that? I want to get that accomplished, but I don't need to do it that way. I don't need to put that time schedule, crunch on me. But yet I keep doing it day after day. And you don't need to fix it all in one shot, but start questioning these things. Start putting little placeholders. Say, I need to address that, and take the pressure off you, because you're already under pressure. And I think I think more and more people are already doing this. They're finding ways to shed the things that don't really provide the bang that it did before.
Right.
They see it more as, okay, it's this much benefit, but it costs this much in pressure and stress and everything. That's just not, I can't justify that cost anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So the next one is energy vortex. Sucked in or pushed out.
Yeah.
Lots of strong energy centers are vortexes. You either get sucked in or you push it away from you.
Or it pushes you away if you're not in the vibration.
Yeah, but it depends on your intention. If you're aware of your intent and your capabilities, you will embrace your power to push things away from you, that even if it's good or doesn't matter, it's like, no, I don't want that right now. But what we have come from is where, if the system sent an energy vortex through whatever method, we would get sucked into it. We would get sucked into it and have to play some role and respond to it. And what they would do is basically come in and harvest all the energy. They send out, yes, it cost them some energy to put this thing together, but it's like a farmer. They went out there, they had to buy fuel, they had to put all this plant seed and all that, but then they got to harvest all the things that grew in there and got sucked in. Like this hurricane that's barreling towards us. Yeah, it's, you could get sucked in and power it, and so it would get stronger and stronger. You notice what had happened lately? It's gotten weaker.
Yeah,
we're pushing it away. It was headed right for Florida, and then not to mention whoever's driving the hurricane.
Yeah, and what energies are pushing it.
Yeah, but it's symbolic of what's going on with us.
It is.
Are you sucked into it? You got to check the weather news every hour or two and find out. Like,
or spending every waking moment of the day trying to figure out what you're going to do the next day.
Yeah.
about the hurricane.
Yeah. So something external
Yeah.
is driving you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a bad person for that happening, but are you observing yourself doing it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what's happening? Once you do, once you start to recognize this, then and only then, that's increased knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Then and only then can you start really having the power to make a decision. Without the knowledge, somebody else is making your decision
Mm-hmm.
for you. It seems like you're doing it,
Yeah.
but really all they do is they give you no option.
Mm-hmm.
They make the most lucrative option the one they want you to take.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Plus, we had a little conversation about that too. I think it kind of links with it of um, showing the excitement about things like that. So it's like we live for an excitement thing, so whether it's a hurricane or it's something good, we live for that excitement thing and versus figuring going inside and figuring out what it is that really matters to you and holding that space in stillness, is very different than being triggered to be excited about this, whether it be from fear or from joy. It's if it comes from you for the excitement, that's a different thing.
Yeah, well, a lot of us get our identity or have gotten our identity by the things that happen to us.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it's not a true identity. It's basically you are a relative identity, relative to this,
Hmm.
relative to the system, relative to this person, relative to this campaign, relative to that.
Hmm.
That's not a real identity.
Right.
It's you're only in relation to that thing. If that thing goes away, what are you?
Hmm.
Um, but a true sovereign being isn't a relative ID. It's a true
Hmm.
um, full ID.
Hmm.
It's not going to be relative. It's going to be its own existence.
Hmm.
And when you can do that, you become your own energy vortex affecting others.
Yeah. And then you can be in community or engage in things collectively. You're not getting your identity from that other thing, that community or that group that you're associated with.
Yeah, because you are um, making your own decisions based on your own criteria,
Hmm.
your own algorithm.
Hmm.
These are you program them into you, and then you act on them instead of you being lumped in with a bunch of other, basically bots
Hmm.
that are tied to someone else's wishes and wants and
Hmm.
intents.
Yeah.
Now you're a free agent. You operate on your own. You're no longer tied into the system and operating for someone else's benefit.
Hmm.
Yeah, you might get some benefit too,
Hmm.
but you don't have the choice that you think you do because your knowledge is down here.
Hmm.
Now that's not we all fell under that.
Hmm.
But if you open yourself and relax, it's not something you have to try to do. You have to let it happen. And what that is
Hmm.
reduce your hold on all these other things. People will say, well, how do I do that? Just start being more open minded, questioning. Everything should be able to stand up to scrutiny.
Hmm.
Start questioning all your routines. Start
Hmm.
questioning where do you spend most of your energy. I'm thinking when you start going through that, you will start seeing trajectories of where your energy is most spent
Hmm.
and how a lot of it is not really your own choosing.
Hmm.
Now, Zimbabwe, you say, well, it's the kids,
Hmm.
it's not yours.
Hmm.
So we have many more options.
And that vortex concept is kind of, you've said for a long time, since I've known you, about carving out your space. And that vortex piece is kind of that carving out your space in a way. It's kind of like getting your vortex. And then if you hold that steady, that stuff, the things that are resonant with you will be in your vortex. And the things that aren't will either bounce off the outside, won't approach you at all, or. So I kind of hold those similarly too.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer, and I said something the other night. I'm a firm believer that if you if you can really scrutinize 360 degrees around you about everything you spend your energy on and start to take ownership, meaning start to take responsibility for
Mhm.
your energy. No more blame. No more it's happening to you.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter if it did in the past or whatever. It doesn't
Right.
matter. It's from now on taking full responsibility of everywhere you put your energy. Even if someone invited you and told you it was going to be this way and it didn't
Mhm.
turn out that way, you can leave anytime you want. Be responsible with your energy.
Mhm.
I think once you start to do that and you start to break down these attachments,
Mhm.
I think there will be no concern for security. Someone hurting you,
Right.
someone, sending a dark energy at you or whatnot. I think you will then be working on your own vortex.
Mhm.
And if you program it properly, say only people who meet my threshold
Mhm.
of good intent, service to others, um, can approach my
Mhm.
energy vortex. And if you don't, then I'm going to suck your energy.
Mhm.
I told her that. I already set mine up.
Yeah.
So people don't. I mean, people with ill intent that they'll
Mhm.
avoid you. They'll go somewhere where there's lower hanging fruit.
Mhm.
They don't want to mess with that because they see that they're going to really have to work to try to find a way to get through to you because they don't have blackmail. They don't have they can't entice you with this food or
Mhm.
um, we'll pay you $10,000 for your new car, and
Yeah.
you're
Pull
not
those
being suckered
strings.
into these things anymore, so you're
Mhm.
more of a free agent. And
Mhm.
so now you can work on your house
Mhm.
and how you want it powered and who gets to even approach the front door.
Mhm. Plus, you what comes into that vortex is matching you, so you can receive it
Yeah,
more freely, and it'll be provided for you.
yeah.
So it's kind
And
of
then if
both ways.
someone with ill intent, comes into your yard, oh, I was just going to offer you this deal and whatnot. Well, sorry, I'm sorry, my pit bull bit your butt. I That's what I've employed symbolically.
Yeah.
I've conjured it up with my own magic that I've got a vortex and
Mhm.
it reaches out so far and it's protected by those who
Mhm.
um, make me feel comfortable.
Mhm.
And symbolically, it can be whatever you want. It can be fairies. I don't
Mhm.
care.
Whatever
Whatever
birds,
feels
animals.
right for you that gives you that sense of calmness that you
Mhm.
need or that you want in your life so that you can enjoy it.
Mhm.
So, um, the next one is your focus is a catalyst. Where are you putting it?
Mhm.
This has to do with living in the moment,
Mhm.
but it's kind of like a precursor to living in the moment. Some people say, "Well, I have trouble living in the moment or
Mhm.
identifying the living." Check check your focus.
Mhm.
What are you focused on? I find myself sometimes doing the dishes,
Mhm.
and I'm not focused on the dishes. I do it so often that I can do it remotely,
Mhm.
and I'm often thinking about something, working through something and
Mhm.
whatnot. Good or bad, it doesn't matter. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what it is. It matters that you know what it is. It matters that you have the ability to catch yourself focusing on this, and then your focus shifting to this,
Mhm.
and then your focus shifting to that.
Mhm.
Once you start looking at that, you start developing or start identifying your patterns, how your behavior is changing, what interrupts you, how your
Mhm.
focus changes when you get interrupted this way versus that way.
Mhm.
You start building kind of like your own um, algorithm map. If then, if this, then this,
Yeah.
if that, then this.
Mhm.
So it sounds like computer programming, but that's kind of what we are. I
Mhm.
mean, we
Get stimulus or information and
exactly.
make a
So
choice or do things.
before we get fully out of the system, because we can't just snap our fingers and get completely free body. We're body free, and we're just in our energy bodies and free floating and doing whatever we want.
Mhm.
We're transitioning. So I'm saying a good transition would be to take control over the programming for your behavior,
Mhm.
identifying your triggers, identifying what your behavior, what this behavior from you really
Mhm.
means, not
Mhm.
what you thought it meant. And what you do is you look at the context. We say this thing, but we really mean this.
Mhm.
Look at the context of your behavior, not what you say.
Mhm.
And you'll start getting a better understanding of your footprint. What where, where are you really going?
Mhm.
How do you go there?
Mhm.
You may say, I run 20 miles an hour, when really the data says, no, you're pretty much right around, 6 or 7 miles per
Mhm.
hour. You kind of mosey most of the time,
Mhm.
or you walk really fast, but then you exhaust yourself, and then you have to take longer
Mhm.
breaks. It doesn't matter. It's, can you identify? Once you do, then you can start working with it, because now the information coming in
Mhm.
is more accurate. Whereas before, we got frustrated
Yeah.
because we thought, if I do A, then I'll get B.
Mhm.
And that's not what happened, because they had the system. We gave them the power, but they had the system sabotaged.
Mhm.
So we would do A, and we would get, J, and J. It's like,
Yeah, that's why we don't try. I mean, that kind of built the, not trusting ourselves and stuff in there with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the I think the important note is, start taking ownership of your focus.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean you need to change your focus. Just start understanding your focus.
Mhm.
Where is it going? How does it change from moment to moment to moment?
Mhm.
And can you increase or decrease your focus while it's on something?
Mhm.
Can you start playing with it? Can
Yeah.
you start, I don't know, experimenting to
Mhm.
see what happens? Can I do one thing and then focus on another thing? I know we all do
Mhm.
it,
Mhm.
but then capture yourself doing it.
Mhm. Yeah, because it's, when you say playing with it, I'm just thinking about, examples of that of, notice when a thought grabs your attention, you're involved in something, or you're driving, or you're participating in a conversation, and a thought grabs your attention. Now, is your mind focused on that, or is it focused in that moment on whatever you're going,
Mhm.
whatever you're doing? And also, if you say, well, I don't care what they say, or I don't care what, how this turns out, but yet when something crosses your Facebook feed or your news thing, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you have some reaction to it, then yeah, you do still kind of care. And so, not that that's wrong, but don't be telling yourself you don't care about it when in actuality you do still care about what it is. Because if that's the case, then that may be something that you still need to like unwrap for yourself to learn from.
Yeah, we often tell people what we want them to believe,
Hmm.
not what we are.
Yeah.
And so we're
Yeah.
working on fixing that, where we're
Hmm.
marrying up what we tell people versus what we really are,
Hmm.
and
What we
then
wish to
marrying
be.
those up. Who are you when nobody's around?
Hmm.
Who are you when many people are around?
Hmm.
It should be
The same.
roughly the same person.
Yeah.
It should be the same person. The behaviors might adjust accordingly, but you don't
Hmm.
lie to yourself anymore, and you don't lie to others.
Right.
In fact, I think they'll have a harder time lying to people,
Hmm.
especially as more telepathic abilities come online for more and more people. You kind of, you won't be
Hmm.
able to lie.
Yeah.
It'll be harder and harder to get away with it. I mean, honestly, do you think that your family and friends believe all your lies? I mean, when you white lie to them,
Mm-mm. No.
you're not trying to hurt anyone, right?
Mm-mm.
No one's bad for doing that. But when you try to tell them, because you're trying to be nice to them, or you don't want to cause an argument or whatnot, do you think, or something's come up, I can't make our lunch or
Yeah.
whatnot? Do you think they believe the excuse you give? No, but
Hmm.
we tell ourselves we have to do that
Hmm.
in order so that we don't feel too guilty, or
Right.
whatever the reason.
It's like saying, "Well, this is really important. You know, this is so important." And you say, "Okay, well, when can you talk? You know, when can we get started on, or when can you talk in?" And you're like, well, I don't have any time this week. Let's do it next week." It's like, okay, well, it's probably not that important.
Yep. That's another thing about, we're talking about focus, but
Yeah.
priorities.
Yeah.
We tell ourselves or we tell others these are our priorities,
Mhm.
when in fact, if you go back and actually look, if you could actually catalog
Mhm.
and diagram all your actions and whatnot and where you spend the most energy, you'll find that your priorities are not what you
Thought they
either
were.
thought they were or
Mhm.
what you tell other people.
Mhm. Yep. Most of the time, I mean, at least a lot of people that myself, and then a lot of people that I engage with, sometimes we don't even know that that's the truth. I
Uh,
mean, just to look at it is so educational and go, okay, yeah, I guess it's really not, you know.
Well, I've told this story. I way back when. This is back when was a I was in the Marine Corps and I was stationed out in California.
Mhm.
And I was, as a side job, I was a personal trainer. So I was personal training people, um, and a lot of the people were overweight.
Mhm.
Um, they wanted a personal trainer to get them started, to give them a routine that they could
Mhm.
follow or whatnot. So um, I learned this from talking to other people and other personal trainers. So I modified my approach. And one thing I did when I took on a new client was, um, I would ask them about their behavior, and they would tell me stuff,
Mhm.
and then I would look at them and then watch them training and go, something's not right, something's not adding
Mhm.
up. So I learned to basically say, okay, what I want you to do this week, every time you put something in your mouth, I don't care if it's a tic tac, I don't care what it is, you write it down. You
Mhm.
write it down, the description, how much you had. You count, if you're eating chips, you count the number of chips. You're only
Mhm.
going to do this for a week.
Yeah.
You count the number of chips that you have. You
Mhm.
count the number of shrimp you put in your mouth. You count how much beer you drink
Mhm.
or wine or what. You write it all down. All of no, there wasn't one person who wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
They ate and drank more things, especially the guilty things,
Mhm.
more than they thought they did.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because you lie to yourself because you don't feel guilt.
Mhm.
So you know you did it. You know you drank some beers, but you tell yourself, "Oh, I only had 2 beers." When in fact, if you go look in the trash and you go, no one else was drinking beers today. No one else drinks that kind of beer.
Uh-huh.
So how come there's 6 in there and we just took the trash out the night before last?
Yeah, exactly.
So you drank 6, but you basically said you only had 2.
Mhm. Yep. And so that's the truth for eating, that's the truth for exercise, that's the truth for
Yep.
your reading or your personal development, that's the truth for everything. We hide it from ourselves because we don't want to feel that
Yeah. You're not
guilt.
a bad person for
Mm-mm.
doing it.
Everybody does
The
it to a certain
reason
degree till you.
we're talking about it
Mhm.
is so that you take the power back over the system that
Mhm.
made you feel like you needed to do that.
Mhm.
Now you take over away from the system. Now it's your responsibility. It's 100% your responsibility. What are you going to do with it?
Mhm. Yeah.
Are you going to keep lying to yourself?
Mhm.
It's up to
First.
you.
Mhm.
I mean, you could do that, but I'm thinking, even though you do it so you won't feel guilty, guess what? You still feel guilty.
Yeah,
So it's not
exactly.
really working. So I, if you take responsibility for it and start watching what you're doing, all of a sudden you went from a big corporation that's run by this big CEO and everything to an employee-owned company,
Mhm.
and now all the employees are serious about waste
Mhm.
and who's doing what and
Mhm.
who said they were going to cover this and didn't and all
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
You start looking 360 about around your corp.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. Isn't that
Mhm.
kind of funny?
Mhm.
Huh. Corp, corporation, and
Mm.
when you die, you become a
Corpse.
That's kind of fun. But you take responsibility
Yeah.
so that when you want when you want product A, you employ solution A.
Hmm.
It matches one for one. It's not doesn't require translation anymore.
Hmm.
So the effort you need to put into it is clear. It's not having to go through this many translations or this many loops or whatever.
Hmm.
That's what we're working on. Okay, the next one is both made of wood, bridge or spear. Which wood would you choose?
Yeah, bridge.
Yeah, but you say that, but there's a need for
Yeah, there's a need for
spears.
both. Yeah.
There's a need for
Mhm.
both.
Yeah.
But are you making the decision
Yeah.
when you're being which one?
Yeah. That's true.
We typically think, you ask the question, I didn't stipulate any rules or whatnot.
Mhm.
You choose one and that's it. You're
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
But if you're taking full responsibility of yourself,
You're
you
looking
get
at
to
the
choose
situation.
in each moment with your focus,
Hmm.
and now you've taken responsibility of all your actions, whether or not I'm going to be a bridge or a spear.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Bridge brings things together. Spear pushes things away and possibly hurts them and injures them
Yeah,
and
we
whatnot.
talked about that today. One of the things that I've wrestled with my life has been being too nice, and
Yep.
you
And you
know,
need to be
that's the bridge. And sometimes I need to
learn
get
how
my
to.
bitchy side a little bit and
You
be
need to
the
work on your
spear.
spear. You're not a bad
Yeah. No.
person for wanting to answer with bridge all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, but there are times when a bridge is not going to serve your needs.
No,
A
sometimes.
spear is. Now, I'm not talking about going around killing people. I'm just talking about the symbology behind it. It's like we're using a screwdriver as a hammer, as a wrench, some way, as a pry tool. And yeah, you can get by with it, but you have many more options. You're quite creative, and you have these powers that
Yeah.
you can employ if you were to stop trying to fit into the old system or someone else's system.
Yeah. Makes me think we've had lots of conversations on the masculine and feminine energies and stuff too, and it's kind of the similar thing. If you overuse and you don't think about the situation and how you're approaching it, and because we have both within all of us, it's the balance of both, and employing the proper one at the proper time in the situation. That's what
Well,
made me think
it's take responsibility. Okay, I'm a man. I mean, I know it might be hard to, but I'm a man and I know I've got masculine energy. Okay. So first and foremost, because all these clues are very obvious, I need to take responsibility for my masculine energy, how I employ it.
Mhm.
I didn't say it's easy. It's not, but I need to take responsibility first. That's the
Mhm.
most obvious thing.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, I also have feminine energy.
Mhm.
We all do. We all have masculine and feminine energy. You would not be able to survive in this 3D world with just one or the other.
Right.
You have a combination of the two. So once I start getting at least a plan together, work on my masculine, taking responsibility for my masculine energy, the next thing, which is quite difficult for a lot of people because of where it takes them,
Mhm.
then start becoming responsibility for my feminine energy.
Mhm.
And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. But in 3D, if you admit to feminine energy, then aren't you saying that you're a clock?
It has nothing to do with
Has
the sex.
nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with your sex. Has
No.
nothing. It has to do with your propensity
Mm.
to employ energy.
Yes.
If you applied, for me, if I applied masculine energy all the time, I'd have no friends. And I would have knocked down every building around me. I would have burned down things. Masculine energy is not nurturing.
It's piercing
it's a
and protecting,
yeah,
kind of.
well,
Yeah.
it's the bridge and the spear.
Yeah, exactly.
It's, you go through, you clear things out, you go get something done, and then you get out of there and you go over there, and it's all about getting things done. That that's
Or
great.
protecting, which
Or
yeah.
protecting, yeah.
Mhm.
And that's great when that's what's needed.
Mhm.
But if fathers were all just masculine energy,
Yeah.
their kids would not want to be around them
Right.
most of the time. Most of the time.
Mhm.
Except when they needed security or whatever.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be very many good fathers.
And I think that's kind of the difference between what we hear is divine masculine and masculine. Just sheer masculine energy is one thing to me, and same thing with feminine. Sheer feminine, feminism, feminine, whatever, is very different than divine feminine, which is that balance and that respect for everything, that kind of viewpoint that you're taking a higher look at
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I see we all have masculine energy and we all have feminine energy. We need to take responsibility of both. Okay. So once you can admit yourself that you have masculine energy and feminine energy, no matter what your sex is, no matter where you came from, whether you're Palladian or American Native Indian, it doesn't matter. You all have that. Once you say, okay, you admit that, and you say, I need to take responsibility of everything inside me, because everything is energy. So it's going to stem from masculine energy, how it's employed, and feminine energy. So once I do that, okay, once I start moving and working towards a balance, I'm hooking up with universal masculine and feminine energy so that it's almost like a receptacle. I can plug into that and say, oh, that's how that is divine. It's when you're employing divine masculine energy, you're understanding the responsibility that you have towards employing that energy.
Right.
That's divine. Same thing with feminine energy. And then if you've got your masculine energy and it's divine, and yet you're not taking full responsibility of your masculine energy, you're going to have a hard time holding on and keeping synced up with divine energy. In fact, I find you probably won't be able to do it without getting your feminine energy squared away, at least on, let's just say, a plan that your masculine energy can agree on and your feminine energy can agree on, and they can cohabitate. They can, and then co-create.
Yeah.
I think once you take responsibility, you can start employing your co-creative abilities. Co-creative because you're using masculine and you're using feminine energy. Combined, they're divine. And you divine in that your true self is now being employed.
Yes. And you're more in tune with the universal flow of things at that point, like you were saying. Because if you're out of balance with them, you're not going to be.
Yeah.
And I think that link a little bit for me, that link to the spear and the bridge, because of the energies associated with the spear and the bridge are kind of very similar too.
I did not realize that when I got it, but as soon as I started talking about it, I was like, hey, that fits right in with it. Oh, okay, yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, so the next one is when you no longer need to justify your existence, our existence is just us. I knew that.
Nice play on words.
I knew that was coming. I've been saying the justice thing for a while.
Yeah, you have.
And
just
it came
us.
to me. Yeah, my counselor was snickering when I did that. They were like, "Oh, you get that?
Yeah,
you like how we seeded it into your consciousness before you came to the session?" I was like, "Yeah," because I had been joking about just us.
Yeah, meaning just two of us.
But once you stop trying to justify why you're this way, why you're that way, why you do things this way, why when someone says this, you respond that. Once you stop trying to justify and get into that defensive mode and whatnot, once you stop doing that, then you start recognizing real soul beings. You really start to see people for what they really are and not part of the narrative of the old system.
Yeah.
Because now, to me, if you're defensive and trying to justify your existence, you're in a mindset that is not conducive to you being responsible to your energy.
Mm-hmm.
So you're employing your energy for someone else's endeavors.
Mm-hmm.
Once you stop and break that, that's you're severing the need to justify something that doesn't feel good. The reason you're justifying it is it doesn't feel good. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I need to convince people and myself that, oh yeah, this is what I planned.
Mm-hmm.
No, you didn't plan it. You planned to play the game and play a role, but now it's become uncomfortable. Why is it uncomfortable? Because new energy is coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So now the whistle's been blown, the workday's over. Now you've got free time, and most people go, I don't know how to
What do I do?
What do I do with free time? I don't know. I mean, my existence is all defined by my work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I need to work. No, you don't.
I mean, look how we introduce ourselves to each other. This is so and so, and they are a doctor, or they are a teacher, or they are, we identify ourselves.
Yeah, I want people to introduce me. This is Tim. He believes in ETs. I mean, that's more accurate than what I was doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So I want to play around with more. I'm not afraid of making mistakes, what I thought were mistakes before, because to me that's exploring. I need to like re-explore the boundaries, because of what I thought were boundaries or what the system told me.
Well, not only that, when it's coming to me, as you talked about the justifying, means that if you feel the need to be defensive or justify, you have already judged yourself in that regard.
Yeah.
So if somebody's saying to you something that you just don't, you don't agree with, you're just going to let it roll off and go, okay, whatever. But if it's something that pings something in you that you've already judged about yourself, you're going to defend it. You're going to give a story about why you did or didn't do it.
Well, who defends themselves? Who defends themselves?
People that are accused.
People that are on trial. I don't know who's putting you on trial, but obviously you feel like you're on trial,
right.
And so you go into defensive mode.
Right.
Now, doesn't make you a bad person, but it should wake you up. It should say, why am I defending myself? Why am I?
Because you've had to agree for that person to be an accuser for you to feel like they're an accuser.
Yeah. So if you're doing something repeatedly and it keeps making you defend it, well, there's something there. There's something there that's trying to communicate to you that, first of all, you keep telling yourself you need to do it. But then on the backside, you keep telling yourself, this doesn't feel right. So those two don't fit together. So there's this battle going on between the two, and that's the defense. And the attack and the defense.
Yeah, and then when somebody comes up and is your mirror for that, then they're the ones accusing you, but actually you're accused yourself.
Yeah, well, it's
all inside of you.
It's all going on inside of you.
Yeah.
We just project out there so we can show ourselves symbolically what's going on inside.
Yeah.
So how you focus, what kind of attitude you have, all that on the outside is what's going on inside of you and how you're going about finding out who you are and what you're doing, if you're even paying attention.
Yeah.
So, now, this last one was a dream. This one, the council was very, let's just say they were very delicate. They didn't overly prepare me for it. They just didn't rush it. They let it settle on me so I could not repulse it when I first heard it. Okay, so I'm just getting you prepared.
Okay.
All right. So I had a dream. When I ventured out with the barest scraps of clothing and nothing else, you all of you, all along my walk, offered me food, water, shelter, and clothing. And I
Mm,
thank you.
mm, mm.
This was very telling.
Wow.
It
Yeah.
it showed that we're ready.
Yes.
This anytime you want to go for a walk and put these conditions in there, you can tap into that.
Hmm.
It was service to others.
Yeah.
And it was
Wow. Yeah. I can feel that. I feel joy. I feel, yeah. Mm, it is time. We are the ones we're waiting for. Mm, that feels good.
so that was what I felt when this came to me. And it was like it was like getting bowled over with 1,000 pounds of cotton, fluffy cotton. Somebody was striking me with cotton candy. And it made me question things about how I repel things because they have certain names associated with them, and I'm not worthy,
Yeah.
and whatever.
Mm,
This was tapping into Christ energy. Point blank, I'll just say it. I'm not afraid of it. It
yeah.
was tapping into Christ energy
Hmm.
and feeling what he went through.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying I'm Christ. I'm just saying
Yeah.
we all have the capability of tapping into Christ energy
Hmm. Yeah.
and
He tried to tell us that.
all the other energies
Yeah.
that are out there.
Yeah.
And I was in that.
Hmm.
I was walking in a shadow, but I was also walking ahead of it
Hmm.
because he shared it.
Hmm.
And actually, it wasn't his. He was walking in energy that had been there all along.
Yeah. He was a way shower. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a way shower, but he was also willing to be led.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just have to be willing. You have to be willing to step up
Hmm.
and say, I'm not going to blame it if it doesn't work this way or that
Hmm.
way. It's your responsibility.
Yeah.
He's willing to follow you if he knows you've got that. And then when you hit a point where it's best now that he lead, then you'll trust him to
Hmm.
be responsible with that responsibility for you.
Yeah.
That people are watching. People are seeing what you're doing and are going to take something from it.
Hmm.
They're going to make some decisions based on what happens to you.
Hmm.
So are you going through it only thinking of yourself, which is not wrong, but if you do, that those results might be, let's say skewed
Hmm.
towards that. Whereas if your mindset is thinking of others
Hmm.
and what the impacts might be to them, you're going to explore it a little bit different. You're also going to present it to others who are watching differently.
Hmm.
Do you have that capability of standing in that light? Because it's a bright light and
Hmm.
all your blemishes are shown and
Yeah.
they're right there, and every people, hey, what's that? Hey, why do you have that under there? What's the, what if you did this? I mean, you have to be able to handle that.
Yeah.
And it's, can you stay in your
Mhm.
energy
Mhm.
and not be affected by someone wanting to play with your hair,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
or pull your hair or
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
Like I said, if you work on your vortex, the people who want to do you harm, they they'll be they'll be
Confused.
very, the closer they get to you, the more uncomfortable they're going to be,
Mhm.
to where they don't want to be around you.
Mhm.
They don't want to be the the money changers and all that. When they got around Jesus, they felt very uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and they challenged him, but It was kind of like, hey, go up there and you go do it.
I'll watch from back here.
Right. So it's being able to tell yourself that you're worthy to tap into these energies.
Plus that, when you conveyed it, the feeling I had was that pure trust and assurance that you are part of the universe. You are part of this, and things will unfold. This to get out of that fear. The fear was completely gone of survival and what we think of. Because when you talked about you were offered food, water, everything that you needed along the path, it was made available for you. That's the feeling. And without you asking or you or efforting to get it, or there was that feeling of just sheer love and connectedness with all that is.
And that's important. But even a precursor to that is that people were no longer, not to say that there weren't, but I had a more general sense that people were no longer so overwhelmed by the old system. They weren't so preoccupied and busy and whatever that they couldn't, first of all, identify someone in need and then be so bold as to address it. If they saw someone being abused, step in, do something about it. Don't just wait till someone else or the cops are coming.
Yeah.
It's
or videotape it.
Exactly. It's you're basically taking on the responsibility. More and more people were doing that. This is the general sense. I'm not saying everyone, but the general sense was take away the system, which the system is pretty much crumbled down to nothing. That people were they're despite how much they had been abused and whatever, they were still willing to help someone in need.
And engaged with you.
Yeah. They weren't going to run away from it because it made them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
They basically said, I don't have much, but you're willing to stay the night. You're willing, I only have a half a loaf of bread for my whole family, but I'm willing to give you a piece if that'll help you. I only have so much clean water, but I see that you need it more than I do. I'm willing to give my serving of it to you.
Yeah.
That they were willing to do that tells me that we're ready. It's not, hey, we're ready. It's not like a question. It's not kind of tentative. It's no, we're ready. It's happening. It's here. It's now. We're in the event. We're doing it. We're making it happen. Things are being cleared right now. People and entities that were taking advantage of the situation for thousands and thousands of years, they're being removed, or they have been removed.
Neutralized.
And our sovereignty is already starting to grow back. It's because it was there the whole time. It was just covered up by all the dirt and all the trash on top of it. And now this is happening. It's being watered and allowed to come through, but some people are going to have a little bit harder time, but that's why we're all here. It's no one's going to do this alone. So it's almost like the more people you help, the more it's going to come back around and help you. It's if all you're worried about is you getting enlightened. I'm not going to say you're not going to get enlightened. Everyone, rising tide raises all boats. I think all boats are going to be rising. Okay. But there's just something about service to others that frees you more. It almost makes you less stressful, and it has a resonance all its own that frees you up from worrying about all the little details.
Yeah.
It's like there's always someone out there that needs more than you do. And so addressing that, first of all, prevents you really from focusing on the some tough things that you might be going through.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the attitude, really. It's the attitude you have to say, I'm fortunate compared to a lot of people out there. I'm fortunate,
Mm-hmm.
and I want that energy associated with feeling that I am fortunate.
Yeah. Well, and that goes a little bit what came up was some of the conversations we've had too about the feeling of trusting the universe, trusting each other, trusting, trusting life. That it's gonna that you can step out and do that. And you were being shown that yes you can because it's gonna be there for you.
Yeah, trust the plan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, did we really all come here and then say, oh, we're all going to be homogeneous. We're all going to look alike. We're all going to do roughly the same things. We're going to set up a society that doesn't really benefit 95% of us, and we're going to keep propagating it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all just going to work most of our life. And once we're able to pay off everything, and then we'll retire and enjoy it. Yeah, when you're almost dead.
Yeah.
I mean,
when you don't have the energy.
Who would put that system together?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, even if we did and we just got one of, is there any chance of reset? Can we start over?
Can we
because this old system, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I'm kind of over it.
Yeah.
So now, how do we build a new one? I think you start bringing it into your now slowly but surely.
Mm-hmm.
I think what works for you, you start saying, well, I can do that now by helping my neighbor, or
Mm-hmm.
I can do that by basically showing others that I'm not going to stand for this practice anymore. What they do, I'm not going to go preaching to them. It's not my job to preach to them, but I'm going to, through my actions, put my energy into not doing this anymore, and I'm going to do this instead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like either invest your energy in those things in which you want to invest in and remove it from the things that you don't want to. If you fight against something that you don't want there anymore, you're giving it energy.
You're still getting it.
So the energy is you choose, are you going to fight and give? That's where giving it energy is the same way as if you wanted to give it energy. So yeah, as you talk about that, I think it's important to just remove the energy from the things that you don't want to help foster and put your energy into things that you do. And if people fight you when you're doing things, you're actually giving you energy. You're just going, thanks. Because it'll give it energy. So
because that's what it all boils down to, is even your focus, your attention, that's energy. You're putting, where you put your focus, your energy is going there.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going to take responsibility of your energy? And now you're an employee-owned company. Are you going to start scrutinizing all the costs?
Yeah. And
really looking at the benefits and say, does that benefit justify that cost?
Mm-hmm.
And start really do the whole thing, because looking at things individually doesn't really tell you the whole picture. You need to look at the whole picture and see the obvious things. See the obvious things that need to be reshaped. Mm-hmm. And then once you start working on those, the others I think will start kind of falling in place, because it's your attitude change. Mm-hmm. Your attitude change is an energy internal to you, and it actually will start propagating through your system, because now you're sending it a new directive. I'm no longer solely focused on me and mine and what I'm going to get if I do this and do that. I want to spread the wealth. I want to pay it forward. I don't expect to get paid for everything that I do. Right. I want to live and work and be a part of a society that cares for each other, that wants to be around each other, wants to hear what they have to say. And I don't want you to have my opinion. I don't want you to look exactly like the way I look, or feel the way I want to feel. If we do that, then we don't get to share in all these different experiences. So it's all
Mhm.
the same. It's like, what did you do? It sounds like exactly like what I did. Okay, I don't need to hear anymore.
Mhm.
That's boring.
Yeah.
But we get some kind of security by trying to get as many people over to our way of thinking and our way of doing things.
Yeah.
For what? You don't get paid for it.
I was thinking about, I was trying to remember the exact quote that Laura Eisenhower says all the time, which is the oneness through diversity, oneness through the harmony of diversity, or something like
Yeah.
that. So it is, it's not about all of us being the same. I mean, it is about being you, owning who you are, your beautiful, diverse self, and then us just, each of us owning that, then we can all be in collective harmony together. It's when we try to change everybody to meet some standard that we run into all this issue. So I totally agree with you
Yeah.
on that. Yeah.
Well, I catch myself like when I'm talking to someone, I'm trying
Oops.
to convince them of something and
Yeah.
whatnot, and I'm like,
Yeah.
why am I doing that? Because I don't get paid for that. I'm not a sponsor of that. So,
Exactly.
like, what do I care
Mhm.
whether or not they take the same supplement that I do? I don't
Mhm.
care.
Nope.
Is it an ego thing where I think, well, they need to be on board to confirm that I'm right about that?
Mhm.
That it's just
Yep.
it's like
Yep.
I don't I don't want to spend any more energy on that.
Mm-mm.
So I
Nope.
want more people to just I think it now that the control, the evil control, the dark controls are falling away, then people can start saying what they mean and mean what they say. And
Yeah.
then if someone wants to treat someone different because of what they're saying, it'll be, I want to live in a society where it's, hey, I don't agree with you. I'm going to go spend my energy over here.
Mhm.
I don't need to bring you down.
Mm-mm.
Your actions are going to dictate and your thought processes are going to be so transparent to other people that you're you'll be propelled where you most fit.
Mhm.
And it may be that you have to have that opinion right now in
Mhm.
order to learn something.
Yep.
So who am I to tell you, get rid of that attitude, get rid of that, be that, think like me and, quit being that way or whatnot.
Mm-mm.
They're not, they're not on my path.
Mm-mm.
So how
Yep.
do I know what they need? Unless I start tapping into my higher self, that then taps into their higher self to figure out what they really need. Then I can become a good aid worker.
Mhm.
But then it's only if the invitation's there.
And it's only just to bump them to, it's not to carry them all the way through.
Yeah, because then you just create another dependency
Yeah.
that, oh, you fix their problems. Now they're going to expect you to fix more of their problems.
Right. Yep.
So, yeah, start
So,
helping each other,
mhm.
not to fix each other's problems, but just, lend a hand here and there,
Mhm. Yep.
show the way.
Yep. I agree.
Okay.
Are we complete?
Fini.
Fini?
I'm done.
Bye.